Alright guys, if you're a mobile hunter or a saddle hunter, or if you're just looking for a solution to hang your sets without carrying so much equipment in the woods, this climbing technique may be for you. It requires very little to no modifications, and it works with any stick, whether it's the short 20-inch stick or if it's a longer 30, 32-inch stick. It also works with your Primal V steps or your Wild Edge step ladders. And really, like I said, requires no modification. With your sticks, whether you have the 1-inch webbing with a cam buckle or whether you have a rope, like the Muddy Pros, it'll work with both. Essentially, all you do is like your stick, you're going to attach your stick just as high as you can possibly reach, your point of attachment. So you put your stick as high as you can, and then for the only additional equipment you need, is a quality aider. This happens to be, a Black Diamond 5-step aider, which allows me to get approximately 7.5 feet per stick and about 7 feet per step. So with my stick, like I said, I put it up as high as I can, and I just simply attach right onto whether it's my 1-inch webbing or if it is my rope. And I'll just attach it right there to that point of attachment. Ensure my aider's not twisted. Climb up, and as my feet get on the bottom step, take it off, hook it on to whatever, climb up to the top step, continue the process to my hunting height. With the steps, so it's essentially the same thing with your step. You're going to put your first step just as high as you can possibly reach, get it tight in, cam it over, and the only modification I've done to my step is I have girth hitched 7/64 Amsteel. I got about a 12-inch piece of Amsteel, 7/64. I splice it into a continuous loop, so it's a small loop, and then I girth hitch it right on the crossbar. And I'll show you why I did that. It's not 100% necessary, but for kind of like for comfort purposes, I end up doing it. So like I said, I'm getting about 7 feet per step and about 7.5 feet per stick. So with the steps is what I normally carry. I'm getting 2 hunting height, 20 plus feet for under 4 pounds of equipment. Done. Done. Okay, so really your only modification to your Wild Edge step or your Primal V step, which this one happens to be a Primal V step, it's just a knockoff version of the Wild Edge step ladder. But the only modification I did was, like I said, just a 7/64 amp steel, just girth hiss on there, and all that does is, so it will slide. I mean, the tape is on there just to kind of hold the loop open a little bit for me. But if you were to clip it directly on there, and if this isn't perfectly level, or if your foot on a small tree like this and your foot kind of kicks out to left or right, you know, this thing has a potential to kick in left or right like that, which isn't a huge deal. I don't think you're going to fall, but you know, it could give you that little feeling in your stomach like that, oh, like I am falling, just to avoid that little bit of panic shock. Like I said, to combat that, 7/64 loop, just girth hitched on there, and then like you can't, just with this girth hitch, you know, it doesn't slide left or right into the step, or excuse me, the stick. There's really no modification necessary for your stick. This stick is modded to the rope mod. I just wasn't a big fan of the cam buckle and strap. Just dropped a little bit of weight and made it a little quieter and a little bit easier to transport and to get on and off the tree. But really, no modifications needed to. I mean, you just get your carabiner with your 8er on it and just clip directly onto it, and then just drop it down and climb up. Only precautions you need to take is going up or down. Just ensure your 8er's not twisted and you're not fishing for your loops too bad. Okay, as you can see, obviously my first step is already tied in and cammed down, you know, about as high as I can comfortably reach. My 8er is already connected in. Before you start climbing, you'll conduct a visual inspection, make sure your 8er's not twisted or tangled up in any way. And then I particularly use a DIY lineman's belt, you know, that I can use one-handed operation. So the belt itself is 1-inch tubular webbing, and then what I use to replace a friction hitch or any kind of mechanical cinder is just, you know, a quality cam buckle that I literally you know, scavenge from modified equipment. So it works the same as if like any kind of mechanical cinder, you know, like a Ropeman 2 or you know, any kind of rope grab. So you want to loosen it, you just one-handed operation, you know, just push the button on the cam buckle, tighten it up, same thing. You know, it just cost me literally nothing, just modified equipment. So when climbing, your first step is always the hardest. So when coming up, whether it's from the second step, so on, or it's from ground level, when I come up, I actually grab the rope, grab the 8er with my hand, kind of hold it there, and get my foot in. Coming down, your first step is always the hardest. So anytime you're fishing for a foothold, it's either going to be the first step coming up or the first step coming down. I'll do a quick demo. So like I said, first step coming up, I just hold it in my hand, stick my foot in there. And then the rest, you just simply climb up. Okay, for coming down, the same thing. The only one you fish for, or that can be difficult, is that first one. But once you get that first foot in there, you can manipulate it, manipulate the 8er left or right to kind of help your second foot go in. So anytime you're having issues, like if this is twisted or tangled up, I can, you know, kind of turn my heel left or right. So let me get that next foothold. And there you have it. Some kind of issues you may kind of think about is just watching this is like, you know, can I perform this task, you know, under the hours of darkness? You know, absolutely. Anytime I'm leaving ground level, whether if it's, you know, a kind of more advanced climbing technique like this, or whether it's a climber, or even like a ladder stand, you know, I always have a form of light with me, whether if it's just a red lens, something I could see, you know, kind of aid me in climbing. So as far as like performing this task under dark, absolutely. As far as, you know, guys may think, well, you know, this is really difficult, or it's hard or whatever. Well, any climbing technique, you know, can be dangerous, you know, as soon as you leave ground level. So if this is the technique you want to adopt, you know, by all means, practice at ground level, see if it's for you, you know, and see if it'll work for the trees in your area. Trees that are super crooked, you know, sometimes you're not going to be climbing right against the middle axis of the tree. You know, you may be hanging a ways off. You know, if this isn't in line with what you're climbing with, you may be out here. So now you're going to have to climb against the side of the tree. Which again, like here where I'm currently at in Florida, the only straight trees you're going to find, you know, these pine trees, which I personally rarely climb. I normally climb these live oaks that look like a jungle gym tree. And you know, climbing this technique works here. I think it'll work just about anywhere.